Now, in this session, we are going to discuss here a topic in the thorax. It's called the diaphragm. We have already told you that we can divide this entire thorax region into four basic components. First was the thoracic wall, and in thoracic wall there will be basically three things which you have to actually discuss here. One is the thoracic cage, another is the thoracic apparatus, in which we have discussed here the thoracic muscles, thoracic nerves, thoracic arteries and thoracic veins, intercostal muscles, intercostal nerves, intercostal arteries, intercostal veins. And here the third thing among the thoracic wall, that would be called as the diaphragm, which we are going to discuss here. Diaphragm, along with this, some other structures, other parts which are forming the thoracic wall, that will be the suprapleural membrane and will be the endothoracic fascia. This is something which is related here to the thoracic wall. After that, you will enter into the cavities, into the thoracic cavity, where we will pick up here one thing that is called the mediastinum, another will be the lungs, and yet another will be the heart. This will in fact comprise of the entire thorax region here, and today we are picking up here the diaphragm here, because we have already discussed the thoracic cage in two classes, where we discussed all the skeleton, everything, joints, ligaments, ribs, sternum, vertebrae, all the things, thoracic inlet, outlet, what these things are, they are clinicals. We discussed the thoracic apparatus, thoracic cage we discussed in two classes, thoracic apparatus we discussed yet another two classes here, in which in first two classes, you see first class, that means our third lecture was on intercostal muscles in the nerves, and the fourth lecture was on intercostal arteries in the veins, and this is our fifth and the last as far as our thoracic wall is concerned, about diaphragm, suprapleural membrane, endothoracic fascia. So let's begin here in the thorax, in the diaphragm. You can see the diaphragm is basically a thin muscular which is peripherally muscle, and centrally it will be here a fibrous tissue that is called the central tendon. It's kind of a septum, you can say, between two cavities, the cavity that is the thoracic cavity above, and it divides here, see, it separates the abdominal cavity below. The two cavities being separated here by this diaphragm here. One thing is there, it's not just separating these two and maintaining two different pressures here in the two sides of the inside your trunk here, two sides of the cavities here, but at the same time it's a very important muscle for respiration also. We will tell you that how it helps in respiration. It's an important muscle, it's a primary muscle of respiration. When you see this here, abdominal cavity, and above you have got here the thoracic cavity. It's separating both of them. It's muscular here, and its central portion will be the central tendon here. And you will see that it's a dome shaped structure. It's not a straight here. You see, it is a dome shaped structure like this. It's not just one dome, we have the two separate domes here. Supplied here by the two different two nerves here, one nerve on one side, another nerve on the other side. They function like two functional units, you can say, and both are united here in the middle in the central tendon. So you see here these muscles which are actually taking origin from various parts of the thoracic cage, and it is inserted here, or you can say it is installed here in between where your thoracic cavity finishes, means where their inferior thoracic aperture comes. Whatever bones will be available here forming the boundaries of the inferior thoracic aperture, they will be offering the attachment to the muscles which constitute the diaphragm. So we will tell you that it will take origin from here the fired process, it will take origin from your inner aspects of the ribs, and it will take origin from behind from your vertebrae, and also many muscles which are on two sides of the vertebrae. So it will take origin from them, and after taking origin, it will be just like umbrella, it will be like a dome here, you can say. And it is not just one, but it is in form of two domes here, right and the left dome. So it is taking origin from the bones available there, and bones, which bones? The bones which are constituting the inferior thoracic aperture, and after taking origin from them, all these fibers which come from the front, from the sides, from the back, and all they will try to in fact to insert here in a single attachment. This is called the central sheet like structure in the middle, which constitute the central part of this diaphragm. This is called the central tendon of the diaphragm. So, peripheral part of this muscle will be, see, this peripheral part will be the muscle, and you have seen this one here. So, the peripheral part of this muscle will be muscular and the central portion will be fibrous. You see this fibrous, and that fibrous is called the central tendon, and the central tendon is inseparably blended with this coating. You see there is a very thick fibrous covering of the heart, that is called the fibrous pericardium. So much so that if you try to remove this fibrous pericardium, you will see that central tendon of the diaphragm will be also detached here. You can say this is so inseparably blended with the central tendon of the diaphragm. Though embryologically they come from the two different structures, two different tissues, they are not actually from same, but they are inseparably blended here. So that when you will remove the fibrous pericardium, central tendon of the diaphragm will also be detached. So you will see that the thing is like this. A central tendon of diaphragm is important in this sense here. So central tendon of the diaphragm you are seeing here is inseparably blended, and the central tendon is at the level of the xiphisternal joint. But it will be like a dome. You can see it's just like umbrella. You can see here it's just like umbrella here. So much so that the upper level of your these domes in fact will come at the level of the intercostal spaces of fourth and fifth intercostal spaces. So you can imagine that if you are actually at the level of the nipple or a little below the nipple, if you have got any penetrating injury, the diaphragm will be injured here. So diaphragm is definitely between thorax and the abdomen, but this diaphragm is not flat, and this diaphragm is not actually up to this 12th rib level. It will be at the level of the 5th rib, you can say, 5th intercostal space, because it is like a dome. So it will not be straight like here this line, but it's like a dome. You see that it will be just like this here. So much so that the structures which will be in the abdomen under this concavity of the dome here, these are the abdominal structures, but they will be under the cover of the ribs. So any injury to the ribs or a penetrating injury, the jagged ends of this fractured ribs, in fact it will go inside, they can rupture the abdominal organs. Though even your 5th and 6th ribs are injured here, but your liver will be penetrated, liver will be ruptured. This will give you idea that your highest top organs of your abdominal cavity, they are under the cover of the ribs. So seeing this also, central tendon and the pericardium inseparably blended here. But it is in form of two domes here. You see this is the right dome, and under the right dome is lying the liver, and because the right lobe of the liver is much larger than the left lobe, so the right dome of the diaphragm is a little higher than the left dome of the diaphragm. Because under the right lobe, you see that under the right dome of the diaphragm is the right lobe of the liver, which is much larger than the left lobe. So right lobe being larger, so it raises the right dome of the diaphragm up to the level of the nipple. You see 4th intercostal space. So that means in the 4th intercostal space, means the first rib, second rib, third, fourth is the 4th intercostal space. If you have got a penetrating injury little below the nipple here, it will cause the injury to the liver here. But this will be actually in such a way, but when you are coming here on the other side, it will be little lower, it will be up to the lower border of the 5th rib, you say. So left dome of the diaphragm is little lower than the right dome of the diaphragm. This is because of the right lobe of the liver being larger on the you say under the right lobe of under the right dome of the diaphragm. That's why it is raising the right dome of the diaphragm. So right dome of the diaphragm is a little higher than the level of the left dome of the diaphragm. See again, imaginary line not touching the left dome, because left dome is little lower here. In such a way that this is your you see already first rib, second rib, third, fourth, fifth. This is touching the lower border of the 5th rib here, but this will be touching the upper border of the 5th rib. So you can say this will be important from this point of view, and just like a dome, you can say we are in the thoracic side here, so you can see this dome here, dome of the diaphragm here. So one dome you are actually seeing here, and the central portion you are seeing at the central tendon of the diaphragm. And here see This will be the fibrous pericardium inseparably blended here. This is the heart you are watching. And if you actually look at this, so it is having the two domes here. So one dome will be here and this here, in such a way that the domes of the diaphragm, they are supporting the lungs, left and right lungs. You see, this is, they are supporting the lungs, but the central tenon, you see, central tenon, it is supporting the heart. You see, this is central tenon, orange color here, this is supporting the heart. So you see here, central tenon supports the heart, and these are the peripheral portions which are called the domes here, they are supporting the lungs here. So lungs actually are resting upon the diaphragm here. With the peripheral parts of the diaphragm, you can call them the domes, but the central tendon of the diaphragm, where all the diaphragm fibers are, these muscular fibers are inserting, this is called central tendon of the diaphragm. This is supporting your central portion. This means the heart here, and where I have already told you that the fibrous pericardium of covering the heart is inseparably blended, fused with the underlying central tendon here. You see here, from abdominal side you are watching here diaphragm, we are discussing all this here. So this area you are watching here is faded. You see, this is this light green color, this is central tendon, and this green color which you are actually watching, these are the muscular fibers here. These are the fibers which are taking origin from all the bones constituting the walls of constituting the margins of the inferior thoracic aperture, including from inside, from anteriorly it will be the xiphoid process, from sides will be the ribs, not all ribs, at least lower 6 ribs in fact will offer the attachment. On the back side you have got the vertebrae also. Which vertebrae? Because the thoracic cavity will be bounded from behind by 12 thoracic vertebrae. So your diaphragm will take origin from the vertebrae below 12, means it will be the lumbar. So lumbar 1, 2 and 3, they will actually give attachment to the diaphragm here. And at the same time, parallel to diaphragm, parallel to the vertebral column in the lumbar region, we have got these muscles also. So these muscles will also give attachment to the diaphragm. Muscle will not give attachment to muscle. I will tell you that the fascia covering the muscle, it will give some thickness here which will be offering them the attachment here, thickening. You see the periosteum is also fibrous tissue, so the fascia which is covering the muscles will also be fibrous tissue. Fibrous tissue can give origin to the muscles here. So see, that is the abdominal view you are watching here. This all brown color, they are the musculature. They are taking origin from all the sides here, so much so that they are taking origin even from the vertebral column, and all they are actually inserted into this white color into white color, this tendon here, that is called the central tendon. So all the fibers are coming from front, coming from sides, coming from back, all they will be actually, but during their attachment are proceeding, or say coursing towards the central tendon of the diaphragm, they will not come straight, they will be actually forming here like a dome here. You see that. So you see, this is the abdominal view of the diaphragm here, but you are watching here, this again, this is, see, this all green color is the diaphragm here. So domes are being formed here. This is the thoracic view of the diaphragm here, this is the abdominal view of the diaphragm. So any structure which will leave now your thorax wants to come here into the abdomen, have to penetrate through this. You see the holes, small openings, great and big openings. You see that a lot of things will be coming and going towards the thoracic cavity, and they will be approaching the abdomen, or coming back from the abdomen here to the thoracic cavity, they are passing through the diaphragm here. So we will have very important major and minor openings in the diaphragm. A lot of structures will actually be going through that here. So you are seeing, this is the abdominal view of the diaphragm, and you will watch here, this is the abdomen here, this is the thoracic view of the diaphragm. You see here the thoracic view from above you are watching. See, this is all, this is white color, the central tendon of diaphragm. And I have told you that the central tendon is this this will be the central tendon. So much so, you are watching here the central tendon, and central tendon is inseparably blended here with the fibrous pericardium. The heart has been removed from here. You are seeing it from the thoracic side. This is a thoracic cavity view, you can say. And here on two sides, here should be the lungs. So the peripheral portions of the domes are supporting the lungs, and central portion, this will be supporting the heart. And heart has the fibrous pericardium, and it is inseparably blended. You are watching this fibrous pericardium has been cut from here also. This is removal, after the removal of the lungs and the heart, you are actually seeing the diaphragm from the thoracic view. and you are seeing on the back side is the thoracic vertebrae, and inside you see anteriorly you have got the sternum, and you are watching here the ribs also. So, see again, this is the diaphragm. In the coronal section you are seeing the back side here also. See, this is the back side here, this is the vertebral column, lumbar vertebrae, and you are watching the muscles, back side muscles here. You are watching this iliac crest, this is the iliacus muscle, this is os major muscle, this is quadratus lumborum. This muscle is the quadratus lumborum muscle, and you are watching some structures in the diaphragm, and you see this green color, this all is the central tendon of diaphragm, and this is a musculature which is taking origin from the inner aspects of the ribs here. How many ribs? Lower 6 ribs will be selected for this purpose, not the upper 6, lower 6, inner aspects of the lower 6 ribs, which will give attachment to the very important the larger part of your diaphragm, from the front as well as from the lateral side, as well as to some extent from the back side also, except on this back side, this one here, this will give attachment to the back part of your diaphragm. Yes. This time not from the ribs, but this time from this posterior abdominal wall structures here, vertebral column and others. I will tell you. So, you can divide this from origin insertion point of view. Insertion is quite one thing only, there is a central tendon. So, white color which you are watching. As far the origin is concerned, you see origin is from all the bones which are actually present here, where you see from front will be obviously xiphoid process. From sides, from after on two sides of the xiphoid process will be the ribs obviously. You see sir, above below the xiphoid process, above the xiphoid process which is sternum, not from back of sternum, just xiphoid process, back of xiphoid process only. And after that we have ribs, yes, from ribs, yes. And you have seen again the ribs, everything here. Even you have seen here 7th rib, 8th rib, 9th, 10th. After that the 2 floating ribs also, inner aspects of these ribs. There will be muscle attachment, and these are the muscle attachments, and because between the ribs they are intercostal spaces, so the muscles which will be diaphragm muscles which are taking origin from the ribs, they will be in form of digits now, you can say, because in between there will be spaces, but after taking origin they will be spreading and there will be no more spaces between them, but it will be becoming continuous sheet obviously, but at the time of origin they will be in form of slips, you can say. If you are actually watching from inside of your say ribs here, so they will be taking origin here, 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 from the inside of the ribs, and they are proceeding towards the central tendon of the diaphragm here. These are called the costal slips, but you see the sternal slips which basically are taking origin from the inside of the xiphoid process. You see this is xiphoid process, green color, and from the inside of the xiphoid process on 2 slips will take origin, one from left, one from right side, from the xiphoid process from inside, and they will be proceeding towards their central tendon here. So, like a dome it will be proceeding towards the central tendon. So, 2 slips will be there, these are called the sternal slips, and this is called the sternal part of diaphragm, hardly comprising of your say 2 to 3% of your diaphragm only, but you see that major portion will come from the costal slips. Inner aspects are the deep surfaces of the lower 6 ribs, including 2 floating ribs here, and these slips will actually be emerging from the inner aspects. You see is emerging from the inner aspects of the ribs here. You see these ribs are there, you can see here, here these are the ribs here. In cut section we are showing you here the ribs. So, they are taking origin from the inner aspects of the ribs in form of slips, digits, digital swellings here, see, emergence from these, and after that it is proceeding here towards the central tendon of the diaphragm. But here we have just 2 slips here, one on the left side, one on the right side here. These are called the sternal slips, and now these are called the costal slips here. But still you see that this will comprise probably, I think if it is a hardly 5%, so this will be almost, you can say 65% will be this. Total diaphragm from the front, from the lateral side, little bit from the back side, almost 70% of the diaphragm has been formed, except on the back side, from the back wall. Back wall is the vertebral column, not just vertebral column, but on 2 sides we have these 2 muscles also. So, from vertebral column and these 2 muscles on either side, left and right, this time more 30% of your diaphragm will take origin from them. So, that means it will be taking origin from the, you see, from vertebral column and from these muscles here, and it is taking origin from them. So, you can see it will be like this. So, see, it will be taking origin from the muscles here, diaphragm is taking origin from the muscles, and diaphragm is taking origin from the vertebral column, then from the other side of the muscles here, and this will be coming here, where it will be going here, then it is curving towards the, I say if you come here, You see, if in sagittal section you are watching here, so it will be here and it will be curving and becoming continuous with the central tendon. So, make here a dome here from back, if it is coming from back, and here if it is coming from back like here. So, see, this is the vertebral part of the diaphragm I am showing you in the lumbar region, that is why it is called the lumbar part of the diaphragm. From the front, only 2 slips small here, less than 5%. 2 slips means one will go to the right, one will go to the left. You do only one side. And other, you see, more now anterior than the lateral, little bit the posterior, costal slips. This will be more than 65%. Remaining 30% will be from your back side here, back wall. If you are sitting in your room, little bit will be from the front of your wall, in the central part of the front of the wall. Then anterior side of the wall, lateral side of the wall, until you will see little bit to the posterior whole, this is the costal. And then whatever the back wall of your room, this will be the lumbar part of the diaphragm. And all these muscles will take origin and they will all will be curving here and will forming here a dome just like umbrella, and will be inserting into a central part here in the umbrella's center, that was called central tendon of diaphragm, so that the umbrella will be created here, and that will be fitting between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. And here you are watching the costal part. It is simple again. You see this some of the costal part, you see this some of the costal part up to here you are watching. This is last rib, you see the 12th rib, it is taking origin here. Some of the costal up to here, you can say up to here, the some of the costal parts. Lateral side and more anterior side are here in this diagram can't show, because we have cut here this vertebral column. I have cut here the thoracic cage here to show you the back wall here. Whatever this is being shown you here, this is the 30%, that muscle portion, you see this here, which is taking origin from here. You see this taking origin from here, is also from here, also from here. One side finish, on the other side here, from here, from here. What I am showing you here, all these, like you see this red color, this will be your 30% from the back. This is the lumbar part of your, this is lumbar part of your diaphragm. But from here you see this was the lateral part, this is the costal part. Costal part means how much of this 60% costal? This was from the lateral side. This is little from the back side, then will be lateral, then will be anterior also. Just together will make 65%, but this will be total 30% of your diaphragm taking origin from back. But it will be actually leaving this now, after taking origin from back, it will come here forward and in a dome like fashion till it will be inserted here into this. You see, this all is central tendon of diaphragm, so that a dome is created here. 2 domes will be created on 2 sides here. This is lumbar part. Lumbar part is very tricky. I will tell you this how this is here. Now, so lumbar part of the diaphragm, watch the lumbar part of diaphragm, how it will takes origin from the lumbar part of diaphragm. You see, this lumbar part of the diaphragm will show you basically 5 things here. 5 things, which 5 things? You see the 5 things. One will be called this, it is not showing 5 things. I tell you that it will be forming here basically 3 things on one side, 3 things on the other side, 1 in the middle. Means you will see 7 things here, 3 bilateral and 1 will be central. See this, which I am actually giving you here a red color, this is called the crest of the diaphragm. So, crest, red color which I am showing you, this is right crest, and crest on the left side, this is called the left crest. Left crest is smaller than the right crest, you can see here also. This is the right crest I am showing you, and this is the right, this is the left crest. You see, this one is much larger, this is much smaller, number 1. Number 2, after this crest, we don't have, both are called crura, right crest, left crest. Then we have got another bilateral thing, you see this also, green color which I am showing you on this side also, arch like, this is called the ligament, you call them arcuate ligament. This is the one which I am showing you here, this is called the green color, that is the medial arcuate ligament, and the one which is in blue color I will show you, that is called the lateral arcuate ligament. You see, this is lateral arcuate. Here also lateral arcuate. 6 things are these, and in the central thing there is also one more, and that one more on the central is this one more on the central is orange color I am actually showing you here. This is called, which is connecting the 2 crura together. This is another arch like ligament here. This is called median arcuate ligament. You see, this is called median arcuate ligament. This is central thing. These 7 things you see, literally 4 things, 2 crura and 2 lateral arcular ligament, 2 medial arcular ligament, 1 median arcular ligament. These 7 things you have to actually put in your mind, because they will in fact be somehow they are related here to origin of that posterior 30% of your diaphragm. Now, for this purpose you watch here first the location of your vertebrae. You see, location of your vertebrae will be, this is the lumbar 1 vertebra you are actually watching, they are the transverse process of the lumbar 1 vertebra. This is lumbar 2, this is transverse process of lumbar 2, this is lumbar 3, and this is transverse process of lumbar 3. And at the same time you will be actually watching here say this will be your 12th rib, and here will be your 11th rib. These are the 2 floating ribs in cut section you are actually seeing. See, this is lumbar 1 vertebra, we are showing you here lumbar 1, this will be lumbar 2, this is your lumbar 3 vertebrae. Locate them first, come back your watch here the right crest how this takes it. So, this will be actually taking origin from the lumbar 1, the body you see, and you divide these vertebrae into the 2 halves. From your right side of the right half of the lumbar vertebra number 3, right side of the lumbar vertebra number 2, and right side of your lumbar vertebra number 1. This muscle takes origin and will constitute some part of hardly 1 to 2% of your back side of your diaphragm, and this musculature is coming up here and turns here towards the right side here. It is approaching you see this approaching in a dome like fashion from back to the front here. Back to the front means in a dome like fashion. It will reach not to the front, it will reach up to the top of the umbrella, and here it will actually forming a cylinge. A cylinge has been actually formed here, and the cylinge means it will be fibers here from you see, if they are coming like this, you see I am showing you here 3 vertebrae. This is your L3, this is your L2, and this is your L1. I am dividing them into left and right halves. I am looking for my own half. If I am looking for my own half, so the muscles which are taking origin, you see this muscle diaphragm, this starting from your own side of your L3, more added from the side of your own L2, more added from your L1. See this here. And after these fibers, they will actually come forward up to the central part of your umbrella, and they are turning towards the left and actually making here turn, so that a hole will be created, an opening will be created. You are watching this opening like this, fibers is actually curving like here, so that here this green color which I am actually showing you here, this is called the right crest of the diaphragm, forming hardly use its own side 1 to 2% of your diaphragm only. This musculature very important, and you are actually watching this also. It is called the right crest of the diaphragm. This is the right crest of the diaphragm here. Watch it here again. Okay, if this is the right crest of the diaphragm, this time if I am showing you the left crest also, you see with this other color, I am blue color, I am showing you here. This left crest which is smaller than the right, you are watching here. This is the right crest. This is the right crest, and left is this. Means this will take origin from L2 and also from L1. It is not making any curve, and it will actually be hidden behind or merging behind the right crest of the diaphragm here, and proceeding itself towards the dome of the diaphragm here. So, this is called the left crest. So, left and right crest, there are differences, you see this, and their attachment also, but the right crest is very important, and it is part of this right crest in fact is switching, and it is sweeping towards the left side here to form this opening here. So, this opening will be little to the left, and this is the right and left crest here, and on their own sides they are proceeding towards the central tunnel of the diaphragm. Hardly they can reach there also, but they are made up of musculature. And you see their derivatives, the crura embryologically they are derived from the dorsal mesentery, that we will be showing you in the development or in the embryology. These are called the 2 crura, very important. And these 2 crura, they are forming obviously, because who is offering them the origin? Surely who is offering them? Whatever bone is available on the central side, on the back side, who is available? Vertebral column. But you see that if the right crest is coming from right side, and if the left crest is coming from left side here, so in the central part of the bone is vacant now. So that means between the 2 crura there will be a gap. If this is a gap, so that the 2 crura at the time of expansion they cannot go apart from each other, nature has provided here a fibrous tissue. You see that fibrous tissue, a ring like, I say a kind of a arch like fibrous tissue will be actually offered here, like here, so that the two crura should be bound together. This red color is called the arch like ligament, that is called the arcuate ligament. Arcuate ligament. This is because in the midline, that is why it is called the median arcuate ligament. Watch this. So, this is called the median arcuate ligament. You are watching this also, is white color, binding the two crura together, median arcuate ligament. And here you are watching the left crest. I have told you that is taking origin from the first two are the lumbar 1 and lumbar 2, this green color you are watching. So, two crura and joining them together is the arcuate ligament, median arcuate ligament. See again, left crest, right crest, and this green color which is actually between these two, binding them together, is called the median arcuate ligament. So, median arcuate ligament. And here again we told you that this vertebrae you have already seen, first, second and third lumbar vertebrae, their transverse processes. Left crest you have already watched, and here. Now the thing is, median arcuate ligament, I have told you that the medial borders of the two crura, they will be bound together by means of this green color ligament which is actually present. It is called the median arcuate ligament. And it is just not taking origin from the medial borders of your two crura to medial and lateral crest ligaments, but because behind this median arcuate ligament you can pass your finger also, and if you can't pass your finger, that means from abdominal side to the thorax or from thoracic side to the abdomen. Actually, when you are passing your finger, something can come like your finger also, and who is coming? You see that aorta is coming. You can see this this red color is called aorta. Now this aorta is actually coming out of the thoracic cavity to enter into the abdomen, to become abdominal part of aorta, between two crura, behind the median arcuate ligament. So, your median arcuate ligament is taking origin not from just medial borders of the two crura, but from the front surface of even abdominal aorta also, the median arcuate ligament. So, binding even the aorta actually to the back wall here, so that when the expansion will take place, when the more cardiac output is coming and there will be expansion of the aorta here, the two crura will not go wide apart. So, aorta will be bound together in the place. So, this is median arcuate ligament. So, you are watching median arcuate ligament. Now, after median arcuate ligament, you see the medial and the lateral arcuate ligaments. The light crest you have seen, left crest already, you see this left crest, you are watching the white crest. So, both crura, and you are watching this anterior surface of the aorta, and this is the median arcuate ligament taking origin from the anterior surface of aorta as well as from medial borders of your two crura. So, opening has been created, that is called the aortic orifice also, and that immediately is lying where your 12 thoracic vertebra are about to finish, means at the level of 12 thoracic vertebra. Where? Exactly in the center, in the middle, you see that. Now, see the medial arcuate ligament. Now, if you are actually looking at your medial arcuate ligament, you are watching this green color, medial as well as lateral, both has been shown you here. Now, if I am actually showing you 3 vertebrae, and here the fourth, that is the T12. So, this is T12 vertebra, this is T, I say L1 vertebra, is L2, is L3, their transverse processes. So, the ligament which I am actually showing you, the medial arcuate ligament, it starts from the body of, I can say the body of the second lumbar vertebra. It starts from here, from the lateral side of the body of the second vertebra, and it reaches up to this level. Means from the body of the L2 stops at the transverse process, the tip of the transverse process of L1. This is actually medial arcuate ligament, means this one here also. Okay, with the green I am showing you here. Yes. From the side of the L2 up to the tip of the transverse process of L1. This is medial arcuate ligament. Actually, medial arcuate ligament is just nothing, because we have already seen here that from the sides of your L1 intervertebral disc, everything here is coming, your muscle, tips of the transverse processes of your lumbar vertebrae coming here, the muscle, that is called the psoas major muscle. You are watching the psoas major, that you have seen in your lower limb also, the psoas major muscle. And psoas major muscle is not looking here brown color, because it is covered by means of a fascia. And that fascia which I actually showing you, and this fascia which is covering now your psoas major muscle, has upper border very thickened here, thickened upper border of psoas major muscle, thickened upper border of the fascia covering the psoas major muscle. And this thickened upper border of the fascia covering the psoas major muscle, because it is an arch like fashion, that is why we call them medial arcuate ligament. And from taking advantage of the medial arcuate ligament, now the muscles can take and the muscle fibers can take origin from here and from here. Taking origin from here, coming in arch like fashion in the middle of this dome or the middle of the umbrella on its own side, to contribute some more percentage of back side of your lumbar part of the diaphragm muscle here. This is called the medial arcuate ligament. So, it is taking origin after crura. This is the medial arcuate ligament is giving and offering the attachment here, medial arcuate ligament. And here under the medial arcuate ligament, you can pass your hand and you can go into the thoracic cavity also. So, some structure can pass behind the medial arcuate ligament also, but at least you are taking origin from the medial arcuate ligament. You see, this medial arcuate ligament has been shown you here. It is just the thickening of the fascia covering the psoas major muscle. And here this is green color aponeurotic origin of your diaphragm is now coming towards your fibrous, your central tendon here, and forming its own percentage. You see the 2 to 3 or 5 to 10% of this, but still we need little more, and little more means a little more and another similar arrangement you need here, because on the back side you see little more laterally you watch here a muscle. You see this with the blue color I am showing you here, this is now the muscle here. This muscle takes origin from the iliac crest below and makes here rectangular shape, and here it is inserted to under surface of your 12th rib, because here is your 12th rib. So, it is inserted to the under surface of your 12th rib here. This muscle, it is a quadrangular muscle of the lumbar region, that is why this muscle is called the quadratus lumborum muscle. You see this here, quadratus lumborum muscle. And quadratus lumborum is also having a fascia, and that fascia has upper thickened end also, thickened edge. You see this is here, blue color I am showing you. This time it is arch like also, that is why we call them lateral arcuate ligament. And lateral arcuate ligament, okay, take origin the next part of your lumbar portion of your diaphragm from here. So, that means you do not have just 2 crura, on 2 sides you have got lateral arcuate ligaments and medial arcuate ligaments also offering the origin. This is the lumbar part of the diaphragm origin I am actually showing you, but insertion is no problem, because it will be in the central tendon of the diaphragm. You are seeing the central tendon of the diaphragm. Everybody is coming to get this here, so the dome will be completed. And the medial arcuate ligament you have actually shown you also. And if you will actually look at your medial arcuate ligament, I have told you that psoas major muscle you are watching here. See this psoas major, and its upper thickened border is forming the medial arcuate ligament, and upper thickened border of the fascia covering the psoas major, and this upper thickened border of the fascia covering the quadratus lumborum. This is the lateral arcuate ligament, this is medial arcuate ligament. You see again the green color, medial arcuate ligament, and this is lateral arcuate ligament. You see this lateral arcuate ligament, and you can put your fingers below or posterior to the lateral arcuate ligament, and you can go to the thoracic cavity. And if you are going to the thoracic cavity, somebody can come from thoracic cavity to the abdomen, below that also. And similarly, below the medial arcuate ligament you can go and come also. And similarly, behind the median arcuate ligament you can come and go, and even so much so that you can actually penetrate through the crura also. Through the crura you can penetrate even. You will see that how many structures they are coming and going through the diaphragm like this. See again. And you are watching here this your 11th rib here, and you are watching this 12th rib. Quadratus lumborum, we have shown you here the quadratus lumborum and the fascia covering quadratus lumborum, and its upper margin is thickened to form an arch here again. It's called the lateral arcuate ligament. See, this lateral arcuate ligament has been shown in both sides. You are watching again lateral arcuate ligament. And we have already told you, if you will actually seeing your vertebral column, we have seen this. So see, this is now your L3, L2, L1, T12, their transverse processes. As far your medial arcuate ligament was concerned, I told you that this starts from the side of the L2 and it reaches up to the tip of L1. This is your lateral medial arcuate ligament, from this side also tip of L1. This is medial arcuate ligament, and below that you have already seen the muscles are there, psoas major muscle. But your lateral arcuate ligament, which I told you that will start from here, from the tip of the transverse process here, and we have already seen you see your 12th rib here. So from the tip of the L1 up to the under surface of the 12th rib, this will be the lateral arcuate ligament, because lateral arcuate ligament represents the upper thickened margin of the fascia covering the quadratus lumborum. So surely here will be your quadratus lumborum muscle, and we have seen this quadratus lumborum muscle. And you have already seen from here your right crus, and from here your left crus. And in between both of them, you know that already there was median arcuate ligament also, median arcuate ligament. This was your median arcuate ligament. So these were some important origin and their parts of the diaphragm, how your domes are created from all the sides. But surely you know that to take origin from mostly anteriorly, laterally from surely the bones forming the inferior aperture of your thorax, and wherever this is not available, you see vertebra, and when the vertebra are there on the two sides, there are the muscles. Muscles cannot take origin. Say muscles will not give attachment to the muscles, so surely their fascia and their thickening parts will actually giving the origin also. Now you look at the openings here, openings through which the major structures and the minor structures are passing. Out of this, the first is the aortic orifice. Now in this aortic orifice or any major orifice, you should actually be knowing 4 questions answers. Number 1, where it is located. Number 2, in relation to the midline, where it is present, basically whether it is present in the midline or the left or the right here. So it's one will be its vertebral level, another is location as compared to left or right, and then it will be where it is present in which part of the diaphragm and what structure has been transmitted through that. 4 questions out of, you see the 4 questions answer you should know. As far your this aortic orifice is concerned. Now if you look at this diagram, you see in this diagram I am giving you here another diagram in which this diagram is quite simple, because you have already seen this is present where, this is present in the midline, one thing quite clear. In which part of the diaphragm? This is between the 2 crura of the diaphragm. Behind the median arcuate ligament it was present. It was present surely in the midline. Level, because it is not leaving the vertebral column, so it will be present here just above the L1, and you can say at the lower part of the T12, and structure passing through that, surely its name is aortic orifice, so aorta must be there. It's not just aorta, on the right side you will see actually the vein also passing through that, that is called the azygous vein. Azygous vein is formed here at this area only. As a result of what? As a result of the subcostal vein, you see already, and the first lumbar vein will give here the ascending lumbar vein. So both will join. So ascending lumbar vein coming from the first lumbar and this 12th thoracic vein, that is called the subcostal vein, they both join together to form here the azygous vein that passes through the aortic orifice on the right of your aorta. And in between both of them, you see, in between both of them is lying here another very important duct whose name is the thoracic duct. This is taking lymph from all the regions of your trunk below the diaphragm. This is a thoracic duct. So these 3 structures, major structures, are passing through there. You see, if for example I am actually, this is in totality you are actually watching here in the full, but if I am actually giving you a sagittal section, like for example you see you have here a manubrium sterna anteriorly, body of sternum, G5 process. just behind your manubrium sterna, it is lying here fifth thoracic vertebra, and just above the jugular notch here is your T3 and here is T4, means T2 and 1 are lying here, so much so that your thoracic inlet will be obliquely forward like this. This is the thoracic inlet. Now here will be, and now this is your xephosternal joint, and here is your ninth thoracic vertebra. So if it is fourth here, then this is fifth, this is sixth, this is seventh, this is eighth, and this is ninth. Means you have got here 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And here is 9, so here will be 10th, here is 11th, and here is 12th. But here will be this one which I am actually showing you in the red color. This will be my L1, this is L2, and this is L3. And you have already seen here that my right crus in fact was taking origin from L3, also from L2, and also from L1, and now the dome is actually coming. So my central tendon will be around we have told you that the central tendon is lying at the level of the xiphoid process. So here will be my central tendon, and here the dome is formed like this. Where I am actually finishing it? On the back of my xiphoid process, and this the back of my xiphoid process will be what? The back of the xiphoid process will be the sternal slip. You see, this will be the dome here, and here is our anterior abdominal wall. Means this is my abdominal cavity, and this will be our thoracic cavity. So if this is the central tendon of diaphragm, so around here in this area will be my aortic orifice at the level, which level? T12 level, in the midline. And when I will be actually coming here more anteriorly, you see, is like a dome. At this level, this is T12, this will be T11, this is T10, this is T10. Right here in this area, I will create another orifice in future. This orifice will be little higher, but not just little higher, this will be more anteriorly also, because it is in the dome. And right in the central tendon of diaphragm, almost at the T8 level, this will be like this here. So almost at the T8 level here will be in the central tendon diaphragm, another hole will be created. So you see their holes are above, this is lowest, this is in the middle, little higher, 2 levels up here, this is more 2 level up. This is not just up here, they are not straight here, they are not like this, they will be like this. Means one will be the lowest will be here, the middle will be here, and the top will be here. This opening is surely in the central tendon of diaphragm, but level will be T8. This level will be in the musculature, obviously in the crus also. This will be level will be T10, and this level is between the two crura, the level will be T12. So there are 2 levels difference between each of them, but from anterior to posterior their levels are different. You see they are touching the vertebral column, this will be much in front of the vertebral column, and this is actually in the center of the thoracic cavity. So the relation of these structures will be like here, because the dome it is like this, it's like this. So here, and this is your vertebral column. The first one will be touching the vertebral column, the second one will be away from that, and third one is 2 away from that, because this is the top of in the middle of the diaphragm here. So aortic orifice was there, it's giving the abdominal aorta. You are actually watching the abdominal aorta, and you see this is again green color, abdominal aorta is coming out of it, but 3 structures are coming out of it. You see another structure, this is called yet another orifice here. I have already told you the right crus of the diaphragm is making here syringe in such a way that the fibers are sweeping across the midline, and they are actually forming an opening here. This green color opening, this is the opening in the right crus of the diaphragm, but the opening is actually situated here on the left of the midline, because the fibers are sweeping towards the midline here, and level will be little higher than your T12, 2 levels up here. This will be actually T10, and the T10 is then the level is T10. As far as the midline reference is concerned, is little to the left here, though it is lying in the right crus of the diaphragm, derived from the right crus of the diaphragm, at level will be there, more anteriorly placed here. You see that again, then your previous aortic orifice, and you are watching here and transmitting obviously its name is the esophageal hiatus, so it is transmitting obviously the esophagus surely, because esophagus after its thoracic course comes into the abdomen, not just to the esophagus, but at the same time you will actually be watching this will be 2 vagus nerves in fact, because the vagus is the only cranial nerve that will leave the cranial cavity, will come here into the neck, will travel through the thorax, will come into the half of abdomen. So surely it will pass through. So major opening esophageal hiatus will actually give them the passage here one on the right, one on the left. Actually, one will be anterior, one will be posterior. Left vagus nerve will be anterior, this is called the anterior vagal trunk, and right vagus nerve will be posterior, that is called the posterior vagal trunks. You can say, okay, right and left vagus nerves, but anterior, posterior. At the same time, not just this, but at the same time some lymphatics will be there, but very important thing will be that from you can say here is the esophagus, and esophagus become continuous here with the stomach, and stomach here has upper part supplied by an artery that is called the left gastric artery, and this left gastric artery will also supply the lower part of esophagus, so much so that it will pass even the some part of the thoracic part of esophagus also. This is called the left gastric artery. So you can say left gastric artery, and not just artery but the vein also, very important clinical significance of this vein, especially not the artery. So this will be the left gastric vessels will be passing. These are the some other structures other than esophagus, artery as well as vein, lymphatics, and the two vagi, surely the two vagus nerves, and esophagus is always there. So see, this is here again, right crus sweeping like this, esophageal hiatus. You see this esophageal hiatus created, and you are watching anterior posteriorly two vagus nerves, at the same time left gastric vessels and lymphatics also. Then is the caval opening. I told you this caval opening means it is much anterior, but it is higher level, and this time it is not to the left but to the right. Why right? Because it is the opening into the right atrium of the heart, so it should not be in the midline, it should not be on the left, it should be on the right. Right in the highest point. Here highest point means you see it is the highest, means here is the central tenon, so here will be level will be T8. So vertebral level T8. Where on the left on the midline? Right of the midline. In which part of the diaphragm? Central tenon of the diaphragm. What is transmitting? Surely caval, means it is the inferior vena cava. Immediately you see above the central tenon. Why it is going like this? Because above the central tenon of the diaphragm there is heart sitting within its pericardium, so it is entering into the pericardium, doesn't travel at all in the thoracic cavity. Means inferior vena cava is never a part of the thoracic cavity, because immediately it finds its heart, and it penetrates the diaphragm, the diaphragm through the caval opening. So inferior vena cava, and not just caval opening is offering here, one more minor structure is actually is offering also. This is the phrenic nerve. So major structure, major orifice name because of the inferior vena cava, that's why the name of the orifice, but simultaneously one, two more other structures also, but this time one only, that is called the right crus of right phrenic nerve here. About the left phrenic nerve, because the left side we don't have any foramen or any big foramen, so left side, left dome of the diaphragm, you see it will be actually passing through left phrenic nerve. But right phrenic nerve, big opening is already present here, so simultaneously along with the inferior vena cava you can pass. So these are the three major openings, and about these three major openings you have to actually answer 4 questions on each opening. You have to actually watch where it is present, midline, left or right, what important structures, in which part of diaphragm they are. But about the minor means minor will be too many also. Minor opening number 1, you see, now you see these crura. In the crura, if this right crus here and the left crus also, in these crura there will be 3 nerves are passing through this crura, this crus, right crus, and similar 3 nerves are passing through this crus. These are those nerves which are actually making here preganglionic sympathetic fibers here from the right side here, and also from the left side. Basically they take origin from the spinal cord in the thoracic region, but they are coming into the abdominal region. Actually their target is the abdominal organs. These are called splanchnic nerves. 3 splanchnic nerves are there. You will see them in the thoracic organs, or you see them in the thoracic cavity. These are called splanchnic nerves. The one which is actually the highest, you see this here. You see these 3 are coming, 1, 2 and 3. These are called the, one is called the greater splanchnic nerve, next is called the lesser splanchnic nerve, and the last one is called the least splanchnic nerve. Least, lesser and greater splanchnic nerve. So these are the splanchnic nerves which are passing through the crura now. Here they haven't shown, but you can see them. Here you can draw 3. Then behind the medial arcuate ligament, I have already told you that you can pass your finger behind the medial arcuate ligament. If you can pass, somebody can come also, and here is actually coming your sympathetic chain. These are the sympathetic ganglia I am showing you, but this sympathetic chain was present actually in your thorax also, and this was present even in your neck also. Cervical part of sympathetic chain, thoracic part of sympathetic chain. So, thoracic part of sympathetic chain, when it's to become continuous with the lumbar part of sympathetic chain, or lumbar part of sympathetic chain, it's to become, it has to pass behind the medial arcuate ligament. So, medial arcuate ligament is important for the sympathetic trunk. As far you see watch this sympathetic chain is coming here behind the medial arcuate ligament. As far your lateral arcuate ligament is concerned, behind that is actually passing, because lateral arcuate ligament is from the tip of your transverse process of L1 up to the under surface of your 12th rib. So, you can say that lateral arcuate ligament, behind that if you pass your hand, that means you are passing your hand under the 12th rib, under the 12th rib who is coming and going, subcostal neurovascular bundles. So, here is coming actually your 12th spinal nerve, and surely here is the nerve, and little above should be the artery, and still above will be the vein. So, subcostal neurovascular bundles will be passing under the lateral arcuate ligament here. Another minor opening that has been shown here, this also. At the same time, we have told you that lot of lower inner aspects of your 12 ribs, inner aspects of your lower 6 ribs were giving attachment to the costal part of your diaphragm. So, between these digits or between these slips of the costal slips of your diaphragm will actually be coming through that gaps, will be in fact coming your intercostal neurovascular bundles. Which one? If it is between 6th rib, so it is the 6th slip from 7th rib. So, between 6th and 7th there will be 6th intercostal nerve, artery and vein. Between 7th and 8th slip it will be your 7th intercostal vein and nerve. Likewise, it means lower 6 intercostal, lower 5, not 6, lower 5 years, because 12th was coming deeper to the medial arcuate ligament. Between these slips, costal slips, because costal slips are taking origin from the 7th rib, 8th rib, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. So, 6 slips of the costal slips are of the diaphragm are present. So, there will be initially the gaps between these slips. 6 are slips, so 5 will be the gaps. 5 will be the gaps, so means the gap. So, between the first gap between the 6th and 7th, 7th intercostal neurovascular bundles means 3 structures, artery, vein and nerve, 7th. Then between you see we have from the 7th rib inner aspect, the 7th means first slip will be here, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Here will be our second slip, this is 3rd slip, 4th and 5th and 6th slip. Spaces will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Below 12th was actually medial lateral arcuate ligament, it was subcostal, which we have already discussed. So, here is a artery, vein and nerve, artery, vein and nerve, artery, vein and nerve, artery, vein and nerve, and here also artery, vein and nerve. Means this will be which one? This will be below the 7th, means it will be called as the 7th intercostal artery, vein and nerve, 8th intercostal artery, vein and nerve, 9th intercostal artery, vein and nerve, 10th intercostal artery, vein and nerve, and this 11th intercostal artery, vein and nerve. Means here will be 3 structures, 3 more, 3 more, 3 more and 3 more. Means total 15 structures here on left side and 15 structures on the right side. You can say through the costal slips gaps, your 30 structures are actually coming and going. See minor openings from 7th to 11th intercostal vessels and nerves, and here it will be present in these areas also. Haven't been shown, but you can see. You can draw them. Now, as far as your external slip was concerned, which are found behind the xiphoid process, and behind the xiphoid process, and if you are seeing here the 7th rib here, so between the external slip and the first costal slip, there will be a gap, and through that gap you can see this artery is now coming here into the abdomen. And this is the area you see little above, this was the point here in the 6th intercostal space. Your internal thoracic artery was splitting and dividing into 2 branches. One branch that enters into the abdomen, and another branch which will be creeping over the dome of the diaphragm, over the dome. And this artery is called a musculophrenic artery, which I will tell you in the blood supply of the diaphragm, musculophrenic artery, and this artery which is entering into the central part of your abdomen, that is called the superior epigastric artery. Means superior epigastric artery, it is actually in a gap, it is entering in the gap between the external and the costal slip. Which costal slip? The first costal slip that is emerging from the 7th rib, inner aspect of the 7th rib. So, this is superior epigastric artery and obviously vein as well. So, 2 structures on one side, 2 structures on the other side, I mean 4 more structures, 30 already you have seen, and 4 more you are actually watching here. It is not just 4 more, at the same time you have seen subcostal neurovascular bundle, 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, 6 more you can say 40 structures are only this. At the same time, not just 40, but at the same time 3 splanchnic on one side, 3 splanchnic on the other side. One sympathetic trunk on one side, some sympathetic trunk one on the other side also. So, you can imagine that 3 and 3, 6, 7, 8, 8 more. These are only 40 to 50 structures only the minor. The major already you have seen. Major means you see from the caval opening, inferior vena cava, and one is the phrenic nerve, means 2 structures. In the aortic orifice, aorta was there, azygous vein, thoracic duct, 3 more. Esophageal hiatus, esophagus was there, 2 vagi were actually anterior posteriorly, left gastric artery, left gastric vein, it was there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 more. So, 5, 3, 8 and 10, 10 more, means you can imagine that some 60 structures, maybe some more also. They are penetrating through major and minor openings. You can see this is here, superior epigastric artery is entering. Internal thoracic branch here, internal thoracic branch is the superior epigastric artery, and here is the inferior epigastric. So, here you can see above is lying here musculophrenic. See again the structures which are actually being shown here, some minor and some major openings here. And not forgetting here on the left side, in the left central tendon of the diaphragm, it is a left phrenic also, but it does not find actually any major and minor openings, so it will be going separately. So, left phrenic nerve, and so this will also be passing. Now, as far the nerve supply is concerned, you can divide them into the 2, motor and the sensory. As far motor is concerned, diaphragm on its own side will be exclusively be supplied here by just one nerve, that is the phrenic nerve. And phrenic nerve, the root value is C3, big 4 and again 5. So, that means 4th dermatome, or 4th segment of your spinal cord cervical region is the major area, but some from 3, some from 5 also. And it is coming here, leaving the neck, entering into the thoracic cavity, and then it penetrates, you see it is coming from the neck, is passing through the thoracic cavity and enters into the central tendon of your diaphragm on the left side, and here through the caval opening on the right side to supply the sole motor supply of the diaphragm is through the phrenic nerve, except when there is any accessory phrenic nerve is present whose root value will be 5. If it is present there, then it will be, otherwise it is the phrenic, but accessory phrenic is a part of phrenic, you can say. But as far your motor supply is concerned, but you see left and right, so left will supply the left sided fiber, right will supply the right sided fiber, except the right crest of the diaphragm whose fibers were switching towards the left side here to form the slinge for an opening for the esophagus. These fibers which have switched to the left side should be, though they are the part of the right crest, but they will be supplied here by the left phrenic nerve, because they have traced past the direction from right to left. So, they will get actually their allowance from left side. So, left phrenic nerve. So, the left sweeping fibers of the right crest of the diaphragm should be supplied this time by the left phrenic nerve, otherwise right crest of the diaphragm is supplied by itself by the right. This is the motor supply, sole motor supply of your diaphragm is by the phrenic nerve. But as far as your sensory supply is concerned, because this is now your costal part of your diaphragm, and costal part of the diaphragm, you know that it is giving what? Giving passage to your intercostal nerves. So, the sensory supply to the lateral or the peripheral part of your diaphragm is from the intercostal nerves, through the intercostal, sensory supply from the periphery. But the central tendon part of your diaphragm surely will be even sensory, that will be supplied here by again the phrenic. And phrenic, you already know, phrenic means it is 3, 4 and 5. And 3, 4 and 5, and the 3 and 4 is the root value of supraclavicular nerves which come from the neck also, and they are moving and sending their fibers over the shoulder as well as the front of the thorax, but above the sternal angle. We have told you already, above the sternal angle the thoracic wall is supplied here, skin of the thoracic wall is being supplied here by the supraclavicular nerves. That root value is 3, 4 also, major 4, and major 4 is the root value of the phrenic also. So, if you are actually irritating the central tendon of diaphragm, your signals will go to the cervical region as a cervical segment 4. This will go to the brain, and brain will give you back pain in the dermatome number 4 cervical, and that 4 cervical will be over the thorax, over the shoulder also. Shoulder means over the tip of the shoulder. That is why under surface of diaphragm irritation will give you referred pain in the tip of the shoulder. This is because of the phrenic nerve signals going through the phrenic nerve, because central part of the tendon, central tendon of the diaphragm has the sensory supply not coming from your intercostals, but is coming from the phrenic nerve. That is why fourth, and phrenic nerve root value is 3, 4 and 5. 4, big 1, 4, big 4, many fibers from 4. That is why brain is giving you the pain in the skin area which is supplied here by some nerves which have the root value 4 also. And root value 4 also means the supraclavicular nerves, and supraclavicular nerves are actually having its fibers some over the front of the chest up to the sternal angle and some over the shoulder also. That is why referred pain will be in the shoulder also, and some to the front of chest as well. So sensory nerve supply will be like this also. So phrenic nerve and intercostal nerves here. As far as the blood supply is concerned, we have already told you that this will be your aorta, and aorta already was giving the artery that is called the superior phrenic artery. So superior phrenic artery should supply this also. Before coming, it is giving this branch. At the same time, I have already told you that there was a internal thoracic, and internal thoracic was giving superior epigastric, and it was giving a musculophrenic, which gave us anterior intercostal arteries number 7, 8 and 9 also, and this will be also passing over the dome of the diaphragm from the thoracic side. So this should supply this as well. You see the musculophrenic, you see this black color, you are watching this also, musculophrenic. So it should supply superior phrenic artery as well as the musculophrenic artery. You see this musculophrenic also, you see this musculophrenic. This is the branch of this internal thoracic has a splitting here and is giving the musculophrenic. And musculophrenic, I have already told you, this is giving intercostals also, 7th, 8th and 9th intercostal, anterior intercostal. And inferior phrenic is also the third source, inferior phrenic. Inferior phrenic means once your aorta enters now into the abdomen through the aortic orifice, the first branch that it will actually be giving, that will pass under the abdominal surface of your diaphragm. This green color which have been shown here, this is called the inferior phrenic artery. One source is this as well. So this is the abdominal surface, inferior phrenic artery has been shown here in green color. This is the third source of supply here. Now as far as the actions are concerned, we have already told you that on contraction, you see that when the contraction of the diaphragm is there, diaphragm, this is in the relaxed position. When this contraction is there, diaphragm is depressed down here. So the vertical diameter will be increased. You see here in relaxed diaphragm, here is the contracted diaphragm. So vertical diameter increases, so pressure inside will be less as compared to outside, and you see your respiration, your breathing will be from, the air will be from outside in here. So this is because the inspiration is an active process. So you have to contract your diaphragm under the order of the brain through the phrenic nerve. So the domes of both the domes of diaphragm will come down here, so vertical diameter will increase here, and respiration will be, so air will be entering inside here. So central terminal of the diaphragm will be pushed, due to the contraction of diaphragm, will be pushed downward here. And see, this is respiration, you are watching this option. Another is the Valsalva maneuver. Means Valsalva maneuver means if for example you want to evacuate the pelvic contents, like during micturition the urine, during defecation the feces, or during parturition the fetus, you have to actually contract the diaphragm to depress the diaphragm. Contraction, because diaphragm depresses due to contraction. When you contract the diaphragm willfully, voluntarily controlling, because it is a voluntary muscle, it is the skeletal muscle. So contraction here, not only this, simultaneously you are contracting your anterior abdominal wall muscles also, you see pressure here, and at the same time this diaphragm is depressed down also, means it is coming down also, this is also going inside, behind already is tough. So all your pressure will be actually shifted downward. You see that when I am putting the pressure here, why not the diaphragm will be pushed up here? Actually right at this time when you are maintaining the pressure, intra-abdominal pressure, so that it should actually be shifted downward here, though it is going up also, and anteriorly also, posterior also, but this will not expand behind. You are contracting this muscle, so it will not expand anteriorly. You are actually not this diaphragm you have already contracted, this will not be pushed up. Why the diaphragm is contracted? Because you have taken a full breath in, means the total air in, you have expanded your lungs full. You say, sir, when I am pushing it here upward here, lungs will actually release the air, it will go outside here. No, you have willfully closed your glottis. Whatever air you have actually you have allowed inside, you have tightly closed your glottis or vocal cord, so that the air should be trapped inside the lungs, so that when the diaphragm is pushed up here, cushion will be provided here by the full air, by the lungs filled with the air. So all the pressure which will be actually put here by your say by trapping the air inside, diaphragm will not go out, not go up here. anterior abdominal wall muscles are contracted, so the abdomen will not bulge in front, posterior abdominal wall will not go back. All the pressure that you are maintaining inside due to the contraction of all these things here will be pushed downward here, will be actually compressing your urinary bladder to bring the urine out, compressing your rectum to bring the feces out, or compressing the pushing the uterus to get the fetus out also. This manure that is actually being provided, this means you are doing it by yourself, that is why you call it manure. Manually you are doing it, willfully you are doing it, that is called the Valsalva manure, to maintain to increase the intra-abdominal pressure to actually push the things outside here. In parturition, in normal deliveries, usually the obstetricians are asking the mother to bear down, to put pressure here. So they are putting the pressure by taking a full breath in, full air in, shutting their glottis, making here the diaphragm down here, contracting their anterior abdominal wall muscles and putting pressure over the uterus from above here. This is called the Valsalva maneuver. At the same time, this diaphragm is giving you a third function, that is called the weight lifting. When you are actually lifting the weight, you see your weight is shifting from above downward through your spine, and your spine can bend. Right, this time you are actually taking the full breath in, expanding the diaphragm, as expanding your lungs here, and depressing your diaphragm. As a diaphragm will be depressed here. Not just depressing your diaphragm, so diaphragm will be depressed. All pressure will be here, anterior abdominal wall muscles are concerned, pressure will be on the back side, your back will be straight now, back will be straight, so the back muscles will be actually straightening you, and whatever weight is shifted on your spine will not bend this time. If it is not bent this time, that means for this period of time, until you are shutting your breath, until you are trapping your air inside your lungs. Once you will leave the air, lungs are collapsing, diaphragm is going up here, your spine will bend again, and you can actually suddenly lift your suddenly leave your weight, and you will put this on the ground here. You cannot actually take your weight for, or you can retain your weight for longer period here. You will immediately here. That is why you have to stop your breath. You will take a full air in and will trap your air inside the lungs until you have got the weight in your hands here. This is another weight lifting, means it is actually giving you the weight lifting here. Now you see, this is called the hiccup. Hiccup is involuntary spasmodic contraction of the diaphragm. That is because of the approximation of the vocal cords, means vocal cords will be shut off and the contraction of the diaphragm takes place here. You will have like here, like this, like this. This is called the hiccup. This is because of the glottis is closed and larynx as well, and there is a spasmodic contraction takes place here. This happens after eating or drinking some irritants also. You see, gastric irritation is taking place due to the vagus nerve endings are doing it, and from the brain this is actually regulated here. But this happens in other diseases also, like in uremia, like in pericarditis, peritonitis, and pleural effusion like pleurisy also. This can happen in other conditions as well. As far as the paralysis of diaphragm is concerned, we have already told you that in crushing injuries, if you are just above the nipple or just at the level of the nipple, you can say, if for example there is a paralysis of the bilateral paralysis, unilateral paralysis of the phrenic nerves here, you can say you can lose your phrenic nerve, means the dome of diaphragm will be paralyzed. Sometimes even there is a voluntarily phrenic nerve is sectioned by itself. You see the surgeons section them, because it is sometimes necessary for the treatment of certain diseases like the lung tuberculosis, where the physicians they have the plan to rest the lower lobes of the lungs, because the dome will be paralyzed and this will not move, so lung will have the rest now. It cannot actually move, so they willfully sometimes even section this also. Occasionally the contribution is because you know that the contribution is from the fifth cervical nerve and will give the separate nerve, that is called the accessory nerve. So sometimes this can happen also. So if you want to actually paralyze the dome of the diaphragm, you have to cut both main phrenic nerve as well as accessory phrenic nerve if it is present at all. And accessory phrenic nerve, you know that it is supplying the subclavius muscle also, that you will actually be doing in your thorax and in your upper limb, the subclavius. So the nerve to the subclavius should be cut as well if the accessory phrenic nerve is present here, otherwise not. Penetrating injuries, we see the penetrating injuries, the dome of the diaphragm already you have seen here. So penetrating injuries means penetrating injuries due to some stab or the bullet wounds. Any penetrating wound to the chest below the level of the nipple should be suspected to damage the diaphragm until it is proved otherwise, because it is a dome like you see arching fibers are there. at the level of the fifth intercostal space up to the rib. So, below the nipple injury to, you can suspect the injury to the diaphragm. Now, another smaller topic you see, that is called the endothoracic fascia. Basically, you see this, you have seen already the skin you have seen one thing. Another is superficial fascia, is a fatty layer, you are watching. Then is the membranous layer of superficial fascia. 3 layers you have seen in the thoracic wall, and again you have the 3 muscles: external intercostal, internal intercostal, innermost intercostal. After that 3 more layers are coming. 3 more layers means after this comes here a fascia. This fascia is called the endothoracic fascia, which is touching the innermost here intercostal. Endothoracic fascia, it is a loose connective tissue, which is in fact touching the inner aspect of the last muscle, that is the endothoracic, that is the innermost intercostal muscle. This is called the endothoracic fascia. This endothoracic fascia, if you will actually look at your thoracic cage here like this, okay, so this will be last will be the endothoracic fascia. This endothoracic fascia will pass then through your thoracic inlet, and here it will become tough, and here its name will become suprapleural membrane. We will show you that. Endothoracic fascia, you see this endothoracic fascia, and after the endothoracic fascia will come, you see some fat, and after that will come your pleura, that is called the parietal pleura. So, 3 layers inside, 3 layers outside, and 3 muscles in the middle. So, if you are passing your needle from here till you reach the fluid, you have to cross 9 structures: skin, fatty layer of superficial fascia, membranous layer of superficial fascia, external intercostal muscle, internal intercostal muscle, innermost intercostal, endothoracic fascia, extrapleural membrane, and pleura. 9 layers, then you will reach a cavity that is called the pleural space, from where you can collect the fluid. Then we told you the suprapleural membrane. You watch this membrane. I have told you that it was actually continuous below with what? Here it is the endothoracic fascia. Above this will become the suprapleural membrane. Where it comes? It will leave the thoracic inlet and will reach up to the base of, I say, root of the neck here. So, superiorly the thorax, actually you know that superiorly the thorax is open into the root of the neck. So, structures can come and go like this. And here the thoracic outlet inlet has been actually blocked like here. Here you can call it thoracic outlet also, but you can call it okay thoracic superior thoracic aperture, and here it has been covered. So, central region is open. From here the structures can come and go, like esophagus can come, trachea can come, thoracic duct can leave. So, many things are, blood vessels are leaving also. So, but on either side we have got this very important tent like fibrous tissue, dense fibrous tissue. This is called the suprapleural membrane. Watch this here. This is suprapleural membrane. So, see this is again a tent like suprapleural membrane. And you have already noted here, laterally it is attached to the medial border of the first rib. You see, this is a continuation here down where? Down, this is a continuation down here to the endothoracic fascia, but above it is like a tent. You are actually putting the tent here, making the apex and fixing it with the with its apex to the tip of the transverse process of your last cervical vertebra, that is called the 7th cervical vertebra. So, you are putting it like here in such a way. Then laterally it is bound to the inner aspect of the first rib and even its costal cartilage, and medially it is covering or say becoming continuous with the fascia, investing the structures passing from the thorax into the neck. If the structures are passing through the neck here, so whatever fascia is there, so it is medially attached with them. It protects here. So, under this will lie what? Under this will lie, you know that here are lying the lung here. So, under this will be lying your even the apex of the lung, and apex of the lung is not alone here. So, this is covered with the pleura, cervical part of the pleura. So, under that it will be like here. We will show you that under this what other structures will come, but this is what we call here the suprapleural membrane, its attachment. You are watching this. Lateral is medial attachment, is apex, and the lateral attachment. And this will stay there, means if you are expanding the lung, it will come here and it will go down here, come here and it will go down like here. So, this will be staying permanently. Under that whatever dome has been created, so it is kind of a, you say, another diaphragm, you can say, this time between the base of the skull, base of say root of the neck and the thorax. But you see this is bilateral, this is on one side, and here this will be on the other side also. This here, and you can see the structures will be passing between them. So, here and all these structures which I am showing you, they will be outside this. You see again had been shown here like suprapleural membrane, protects the underlying cervical pleura as well as the apex of the lung, resists the changes within intrathoracic pressure occurring during the respiratory movements. This is suprapleural membranes. So, this was the class about your thoracic wall, in which you have already done the thoracic cage, 2 classes, then thoracic apparatus, 2 classes. In one class we have discussed intercostal muscles and nerves, in other class we discussed intercostal arteries and veins, and in this fifth class today we have discussed the remaining things about how the thoracic cavity will be completed as far as our somatic or wall structures are concerned, and we have covered them from above roof and covered them from below floor. Floor has been formed here, actually the partition that is called the diaphragm, and roof has been formed here by 2 small tents here, leaving the gap in the middle, that was the suprapleural membranes. And at the same time we discuss inside some structures like endothoracic fascia also, and at the same time parietal pleura as well here. This was your class today.